Bloop. Kirk to bridge. This is Admiral James T. Kirk. Spock, are you there? Yes, Jim. This is my day. I'm going to do a review for my favorite Star Trek film. It's about that bloodsucker Khan. I was wondering if anybody out there could help me. Anybody? Somebody? Bones, how about you? Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a film reviewer. Fine. I'll have to do this all alone and talk about my favorite Star Trek film about Khan! If this is your first time here, thank you very much for coming to Hawkeye's House of Horrors. I'm Hawkeye, and if you've been here before, thank you very much for getting to this review here. I said it twice. I'll say it again. This is my favorite Star Trek film, certainly of the original cast. There are some other great ones, but this one just does it for me. I do apologize for some very bad acting in the opener there. Yeah, my bones. Anyways, where am I going to move on here? So we're going to talk about the second Star Trek film. That's Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. So this one was directed by Nicholas Meyer. He had done Time After Time a few years prior, 1979, with Malcolm McDowell. Mary Steenburgen as well. He did that film. David Warner was in that one as well. He would actually later go on and do Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, later in the series. And he would actually be a writer for the fourth one, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. So he was involved in at least 3 Star Trek films, which is incredible. Now, the story was done by Harve Bennett. He was also a producer of this film, but he did lots of TV, or that's where they got him from, was the television side of things. He did write parts 3, 4, and 5 as well, and Jack B. Swords as well did the story. He also came from TV. He did I think, Star Trek The Next Generation. He wrote at least one episode for that. Bonanza and T.J. Hooker, also starring William Shatner, who was Kirk from Star Trek. And an uncredited Samuel A. Peoples. He as well did lots of TV, including he worked on the original Star Trek show, the animated series, which was in the 70s, for Star Trek, and Bonanza as well. And then the screenplay was by Swords and an uncredited Meyer as well, who I think cranked out a script in 12 days for this as well. Now, it was distributed by Paramount Pictures. I always have a tough time saying that word. Distributed by Paramount Pictures. And it was released on June the 4th, 1982. It had a budget of $12 million. In today's dollars, in 2025, that would be $39.8 million. That's not a real huge budget. And I'm going to say they did a very good job with the budget they had. They went out, they got Bennett from TV. They wondered if he could make a movie with so much of a budget, and he said, yeah, something like I could make 5 movies with that budget. So what he did was they reused sets from the original Star Trek film and used them here, and recycling of or reusing effect shots as well. Like I remember there's a Klingon bird of prey, a shot of 3 of them coming in. That was originally from the original film, and they just put it in this film here, and didn't need to spend lots of money to do that. And I'd say they do a real good job in doing that, in reducing the budget, in using the money wisely where in the original film, I don't have the numbers for that, but the budget skyrocketed in the original, and it kind of got out of control, I think. Now, this film they hit a home run at the box office with this one. It made 97 million at the box office, or in today's dollars, that's 2025. That would be $321.5 million. They really did well at the box office. One thing I found out, creator of Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, he worked on the original film as well. And he was working on this one. But, you know what? They found Roddenberry, or believed he may have had something to do with some of the bad reviews, perhaps, of the film, or things getting out of control, maybe. So they moved him upstairs. You're an executive producer, and got him right out of production. And anything he had to say, they didn't really listen to him, I don't think. So they kind of pushed him out of the way. And then, so yeah, Bennett was brought in to make the sequel, and he found the original film to actually be boring. Personally, I don't find it boring, but you know what? I can see where you may find it boring. There's a lot of time spent on the effects. We're talking like nothing is happening in the film. The film is stopped so that you could watch these effects. And to some people that may be boring. But that's what Bennett thought. I find this interesting. They brought him in, and he had never seen one show of Star Trek. I take it he's seen the original film, and that was it. So he went back and watched the television show. And one thing he found as well, a problem he had with the original film, is he didn't think there was an actual real villain in the film. So he went back, started watching the Star Trek shows, and pulled a villain out of the show to put in this film. And it was from the TV episode entitled Space Seed. And that character was Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban. Yes. Excellent that you get him and William Shatner in this film together, even though literally they never are actually in the same scene together. They're just over like the video to each other. But it's great. You get actors like that facing off against each other. I think that's terrific. So, now if you've never seen the film, I would suggest probably a good thing would be to maybe watch that show, Space Seed. One problem is a couple of the characters, Sulu is not in it, as well as Chekhov. Two of the main characters in Star Trek, they're not actually in that show. Chekhov had not been there as yet, and Sulu just wasn't in the show. So maybe watch a couple of shows, maybe, if you want to be introduced to those characters as well. But it's a good jumping point for this film. And literally, if you don't want to, you don't have to see the first film. I'm not sure. The first film works really well if you're a big-time fan of the show. The first film was almost like an extended show, I found. But this one here, you can jump right into it, and you are in this film. Absolutely. So now Swords, who was brought in to do some writing, he was a big-time Star Wars fan, and he was brought in to make this into a filmable script from the story that was put out. So I'm going to go into this story a bit here and go into things I love about this film. So we now have Admiral James T. Kirk. He's no longer a captain. He's been promoted. He's an admiral. And what he's doing is he's doing training for new recruits for the Starfleet. He's doing that job. So he's no longer out in space, skipping through the cosmos, like finding new worlds, everything like that. He's not doing that any longer. Now, this performance is by William Shatner, and personally, to me, this is perhaps his best performance as Kirk. Is right here in this film. I don't think he ever put in a bad performance, really, but this is the best one. I think showing a good range of emotions in the character, and he does a very good job in this role here. Now, he's pretty sad as Kirk is feeling old and not doing really what he's destined to do, and that's be out in space as a captain of a starship. First is Dr. McCoy, or Bones, played by DeForest Kelley, who suggests that he should be captain again. That's what he should be doing. Meanwhile, the Reliant, another starship with the Starfleet, who has Commander Chekhov. He's on the Reliant now, played by Walter Koenig, on board along with Captain Terrell, played by Paul Winfield. I really like this actor. He's got a great voice. I remember him narrating the show City Confidential back in the 90s. He was terrific. He's sadly passed away, but I really like this actor. So he's the captain of the Reliant, and they are looking for a planet with no life, so that they can start the third stage of this Genesis project. Now, what the heck is that? What is the Genesis project? Sounds biblical. Well, it is a device that, when placed on a world with no life, can transform it into Earth, where life can be habitable and life can exist where it did no longer, or create, well, the Garden of Eden. Wait, what if it's placed where there is life already? Well, it destroys that life in favor of its new matrix. That's a line from Spock that instantly sets Bones off, which I love. And I'm totally with Spock on this one. He's not going into any moral thought on what's going on. He's just answering the question. But I love McCoy and Spock in this. It really works well here, and to me it's almost like they're either side of the brain for Kirk. The logic and the emotion, like they are those characters for Kirk, the captain of the starship. I really like that. So Chekhov and Terrell show up on this planet, and oops, they thought it was Ceti Alpha 4, but it is actually Ceti Alpha 5. So what? Who cares? Well, that's where Captain Kirk, at the time captain, he placed a genetically engineered human named Khan with great smarts and strengths. And, well, what happened is 15 years prior, he tried to murder Captain Kirk and take over the Enterprise. And he was a ruler on Earth during the 1990s. That didn't actually happen in our world, but it did in this film. So we'll go with that. So Khan, in return, thirsts for vengeance against Kirk. His wife has died on this planet. Many people have died. And I love it. He utters the Klingon proverb that revenge is a dish best served cold when he's out in the Reliant, facing off against Kirk. He then puts these bugs into Chekhov and Terrell's ears to make them a lot more pressured, or to play along with the trick he's going to pull on Kirk. They wouldn't willingly do that, but by doing so, they will do it or they're going to die. So they are part of it. Now, I love the scene once Chekhov realizes that Khan is on this planet. It's before Khan sees them, or you are introduced to Khan. He realizes, oh no, I know where we are. We gotta get out of here. It really brings in some horror influences. There are a couple of scenes in here where there's influences of horror going on, which I love. That's great. And this scene in the end to me as well, it really pushes the film into drive, setting up for a, once again, terrific showdown between the heroes and Khan in a battle in space. And then Kirk gets a call from his old flame, Dr. Carol Marcus, played by Bibi Besh, that he personally is taking Genesis. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what Genesis is. What's going on here? The communication device they're using, it's all garbled. It's not coming through very well. And then it's cut off between her. She is on... apologize here. Yes, she's on Regula 1, like a space station, doing projects to do with Genesis. That's where she is. So, along with her is their son, Captain Kirk, or Admiral Kirk at this time, and Dr. Carol Marcus. His name is David, played by Merritt Buttrick. And I really think his character adds a lot to the film. You have Kirk's son in the film, and then there's a bonding going on at the end of the film between the son and the father, and they hadn't seen each other for many years. So I think his character adds a lot to the film. And I love, just talking about the communication device not working properly. I love how in this film sometimes the technology is not working at 100%. And this isn't the only time in Star Trek where that happens. I remember in other films where the Enterprise itself was just a bucket of bolts, not working very well. That's great, and showing that technology doesn't work to its full capabilities sometimes. And I like that it shows you here. So the Enterprise is off to Regula 1 to see what the heck is going on. And along the way, they also have Sulu, played by George Takei, and Nichelle Nichols playing Uhura as well. So those are some main characters as well within Star Trek. Now, I find this extremely interesting, as this is the Star Trek film that sets a new tone for the Star Trek films. The original film, no other film was like it. It was very much, like I said, like the TV show. And then the second part set a new tone, and they went with that tone for the rest of the films with the, original cast. And I need to see the Next Generation films again. I liked all of them except for one. I don't remember which one. It was like, boo. Didn't really like it, but that's right. There you have it. Sets a new tone, but at the same time, it all of the Star Trek films, it actually has the greatest connection to the Star Trek show, really, in having a villain from the show return for one of the movies. It's a great connection to have. Now with the story, I think we're seeing some very good writing going on here, and some big themes within the film. You got to be able to pick this up. Themes in it include death and birth or rebirth. They're incredibly strong in the film, and I really like how these themes are looked at or used in the film. Very effective. Now, what made this film something very different, and led to these themes? It all came from Leonard Nimoy, who did not want to do another Star Trek film. He was wanting to move on from Spock. He had done Spock. He was, I guess, sick of it. He wanted to show people like, hey, I can do other roles. There's more to me than just playing this Vulcan. So he wanted to actually be killed off in this film, and then you guys can do whatever you want with Star Trek. I'm checking out. I'm not going to be a part of this. So they added Spock's death into the film. Spock dies. Now, after the film was released, I believe, Nimoy even received death threats, which is kind of interesting or weird, bad irony going on there, I guess. He's receiving death threats for killing off a character of Star Trek. I guess there are some very hardcore Star Trek fans. My own father is a Star Trek fan. My father-in-law is a Star Trek fan. They're in their 70s. They remember the original show, and they were fans of that show, and really enjoyed it. So there are some big-time fans out there. Now, crazy as this show has gone through, the original show, the animated show, 7 films if you count Generations, which you should. There was 3 of the characters were in there, and a number of newer shows that have been created since the original show. And this show was, or is, definitely one of the big babies on the block for science fiction. Is definitely Star Trek. So for one of the hugest characters in that show, or within this universe, that wants to walk away, or finish his time doing that show, and he has every right to do that if he wants to. That's huge, and that's what Leonard Nimoy is known for, is playing Spock. So that's huge. In the end, it comes to this, my favorite scene in the film, and that is watching Spock die at the end of the film. He sits, and in his crippled ship, the Enterprise, that's been paralyzed by Khan in his own crippled ship, he realizes we cannot go to warp speed. Meanwhile, Khan in his own ship is starting the Genesis device. He's starting it in the ship to blow everybody up. We're all going to die. I'm going to die. The Enterprise is going to die. This is my last act, and it's to get you, Kirk. So Spock realizes this, so he goes to the engineering, where Scotty, or James Doohan, who plays a role, is, along with Bones is down there. And he goes into this room, just absolutely swallowed in radiation in there. He goes in there, fixes the ship, or fixes the ability to go to warp speed, and boom, they go off in warp speed. Bam, the Reliant explodes, but the Enterprise is able to escape and survive, except for Spock. He was willing to put his life on the line for others. And it's a wonderful line in the film that he says, or is said a few times. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. It's a terrific line, as Spock gave up his life to spare the rest of the survivors on the Enterprise. And in my opinion, it is the perfect way to kill off a beloved character within a loved franchise like Star Trek was and is. He came back though. The next one's called Search for Spock. So I wonder what that one's about. But yeah, it was a great way to end his character at that time, anyways. And that leads to my opinion. This is the greatest ending of any Star Trek film. Is right here. You're dealing with death, but my oh my, is there ever a load of hope and love, and there's something good is coming out of this. Like there's some real hope going on at the exact same time, and I find that very powerful within the film as well. So yeah, I also love the friendship that is continuing to be shown in this film, and really a highlight to the entire series, and that's with Kirk, Spock, and Bones. Those three characters in particular. I love as well there are a number of tricks being used by Kirk and Khan on each other, leading to like a Moby Dick influence. Khan even has Moby Dick the novel on City Alpha 5. Where he on that planet, you can see it right on the shelf, and I really like the trick Kirk on the computer. I think Spock puts in the Reliance code number in order for the Enterprise to drop the shields of the Reliant. They do so and then fire phasers and cripple their ship. Nice little trick there. Makes me smile every time I see that. There you go, Khan. Take that. And I also love the scene when they're searching on Regular One. There's some horror influences going on here. You can see it coming a mile away. There's a mouse in the corner. Hilarious. Bones turns around and boom, there's a dead body hanging. Wonderful horror influence going on there. That's great. So yeah. Now, given the reduced budget, Jerry Goldsmith, who did the score to the original film, wasn't even given an offer. They figured that we can't not afford to bring Jerry back to do the score, but they found a 28-year-old James Horner, who had done a few other films. But this was his first major film he had done a score for, and I think the music is spectacular, which is really saying something, because the music for the original by Goldsmith, I thought could have been the best thing going with that original film. Just an amazing score in the first one, and this one, as I said, it's spectacular. But it didn't base it upon Goldsmith's score, which is kind of interesting as well. It allowed Horner to make his own way in creating this score, and it works. It's amazing. I was definitely whistling when watching the film. I've seen the film many times, maybe 30 times. But so I've heard the tunes a few times, so I was whistling away. That means I really enjoy it. I wrote this down. I found this funny. When David walks onto the bridge for the first time, I think, to see his dad in action as the captain of the Enterprise. He has his sweater wrapped around his neck. It looks like he's looking for a tennis partner in doubles or something like that. He looks like he's on the wrong set. Very funny. Now, this was the very first film to have a scene that totally used computer graphics. And this is when you're introduced to Genesis, and it explains what it does and everything. The whole thing was used computer graphics, so that's interesting to note as well. And the principal photography took place between November the 9th, 1981 and January the 29th, 1982. Now it also has Kirstie Alley, years before she was on Cheers. Very first movie role, young Kirstie Alley. She was a big Star Trek fan too, and she actually, supposedly as a kid, played that she was Spock's daughter, which is interesting because she plays a Vulcan in this, and it's a reoccurring role in parts 3 and 4, I know for sure. It's not explained in the script because in parts 3 and 4, the role is given to a new actor. Ali just did the one film, but the performances are different. And it's never explained in this film, but she's actually half Vulcan and half Romulan. So she's not pure Vulcan. So there's times where you're like, she's not quite like Spock. She's using some emotions there, but Vulcans and Romulans are very different. So that's interesting, and it's too bad they should have put that in there, because then in parts 3 and 4, she's very Vulcan. She's very much like Spock, but not in this one. And also in the cast, he's a cadet. I don't think he has one line, but you see him, he's there. I think he's on The Reliant, is Nicholas Guest. He's in the film as well. And then this was remade or rethought in Star Trek Into Darkness. I've seen it twice. I really enjoyed it. I need to see it again. It seems that it was a film you did like, or you didn't like it at all. So I don't know. I did like the new Star Treks as well. I did. But maybe someday I'll watch those again and maybe review them, the new Star Trek films. But that's that, and that is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So, yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and hit like, the thumbs up down there. And if you want to subscribe, I've got other film reviews on here as well. And if you want to comment on anything, maybe, hey, what is your favorite Star Trek film? I definitely am planning on, in the future sometime, going through all of these flicks. I'm just going to start with this one for now, but this one is my favorite. So there you have it. But until next time, enjoy your movie watching.